Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third live stream of the week. My name is Helena. I'm joined today by our producer, Thiago Aranha. How are you, Aranha?
I am good. I'm feeling good. I'm very excited. I love this intro song. It always gets me pumped up for whatever's coming.
Yeah, true.
I'm here
I was.
clapping my hands, getting in the mood, getting in the spirit. It's going to be a fun one.
It's gonna be a fun one. We have some really cool news for you guys today, and for the first time in a very long time, I don't think anyone got it right in the comments yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we're about to announce our next Kickstarter campaign. And this one has been kept pretty secret. And I can disclose it is not anything that people have been speculating about and hoping for and making guest lists. A lot of that is coming. I see a lot of guesses of things that they would like to see that we are working on. They will come in due time. But what we have to reveal today is something that is extremely near and dear to my heart. I'm so excited to bring this to the gaming table, and you won't see it coming.
Won't see coming. Let's just give one more minute for people to join in. I can see our audience numbers are rising by the second, and I don't want anyone to miss this. So let's see.
Sorry, I'm a bit parched here, and best place to store water is in your body.
That is true. Let me join you there.
Yeah, I need to write down all these suggestions. There's some Dirty Dancing Zombicide. We need to pursue that.
True. I saw some things that I was like, oh, you know what? That would be cool.
Yeah, there are some good ideas that come from this barrage of wild suggestions from the chat.
Yeah, keep them coming. We love them. Well, I think it's time. Are you ready?
Let's go there.
Let's go there.
Expand our minds. Go.
So today we will be revealing to you what our next Kickstarter campaign is. And for the very first time, you have no idea. We can see that in the comments. It's so exciting. So let's find out together. See you soon, Aranha.
That gives me chills.
So today we're talking about Dune War for Arrakis, our next Kickstarter campaign. And to talk to you, apart from Thiago, we have one of the designers. So please welcome Francesco Nepitello. How are you, Francesco?
Ciao, Francesco.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited. And I wasn't expecting to be so nervous and excited, but again, the teaser got me. It's been so long waiting for this moment, and the teaser was just right.
So what can you tell us about it? Let's see, who starts here? Let's start with Aranha. So you've been keeping this secret for so long. I know both of you are huge fans. So how was working on that?
Yeah. So, well, Dune. First of all, this is a dream come true for me personally. Dune is like one of my top franchises, one of the like huge influence on me in my geekdom and reading and absorbing all this fantastic world. I must have been 14, 15 years old, like Paul Atreides' age, when I discovered Dune. Actually, first through the Dune 2 video game, and then eventually I found out that there's a book that where all of this comes from, and then I dove into the book, and it just consumed me completely. I lost my mind in all those trips and the esoteric thing, the sci-fi aspect of it, everything coming together. And I've been a huge fan ever since. I've read every book, from the original series, and then everything by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. I'm a huge Dune fan. What can I say? When I went to a place that had dunes, I was just dreaming and fantasizing and trying to walk without rhythm and and doing all those things. So when this opportunity came along that we can make a Dune game, okay, I need to produce this. I need to be on this because it's too much. It's one of my dreams to bring this to life. Francesco, your time to gush.
Yeah, as you can tell, Aranya, as the producer of Dune, was a huge benchmark for us, was a huge test for us designers, because we had to measure ourselves with the biggest fan there is of the novel and the movies. So, and of course, it was a good thing, because we had immediately the perception if we were doing something right. So just to tell you who's behind this from the point of view of the game design, it's me, Francesco Nepitello, and Marco Maggi, 2/3 of the design team behind the War of the Rings strategy game that many players know. The third one being Roberto Di Meglio, who's not involved in the project, but spiritually is involved in the project, because War for Arrakis is started as this merging of two things, of the need for doing a big strategy game with an extensive storytelling component, and it was a natural choice for us, to put together two things. We made the game based on maybe the most popular fantasy novel ever, and in this case, we had the chance to make a game based on one of the most popular science fiction novels ever. So it was very much a win-win situation, where we said, okay, we have to combine a dense world-building story and pivotal turning moments, thrilling action, combat, all in the same place, and we did that with War of the Rings. So we started from there, and then of course the game took a direction, its own life, because as we always do with designing games like that, we follow the story, we follow the source. So it was me and Marco Maggi, and then we added Michele Garbuggio, our developer, to the fold, and we play tested the heck out of this, and then opened the play test to other people. And we really can't wait to see what we did, because it's going to be familiar to the most experienced War of the Ring fans, because we have elements in there that are straight inspired by War of the Ring, and a lot of different things, starting from.
No, it was interesting from my point of view. The initial pitch, the germ of the whole thing was, okay, let's take the War of the Ring kind of core and build a Dune game on top of it. And this is where I came in as the producer, and then it was handed over to the design team, and I laid back. These guys are experienced; they know what they're doing. So I kind of just laid back, taking care of producing all the artwork and all the other physical aspects of the game. It was very interesting once we had our first meeting of, okay, this is where the game is at this point, and it was just so interesting to see all these things from the novel popping up everywhere. Like okay, this is the basic like war game or whatever, but then you have the Landsrad and the Choam, and where does the spice come in, and the Coriolis storms and the sandworms and the sieges and everything kind of demanded its own place in the design of the game, and it was fantastic to see the Dune novel shaping the game, just because it's such a rich universe. Like it demands you to pay attention to it and try to bring as much as possible from those things, instead of just it's two factions clashing and that's it. No, it's very different factions clashing. There's a history, there are characters, each one is fighting for different things and trying to achieve things in a very different way. There's the whole esoteric aspect of it, like everything just enriching this game experience. It was fascinating to watch from my vantage point of just, I can't believe you're making this game for me. Thank you very much.
for you and for all the other fans that have the same passion for the story, because it's very much, it was our mission, totally. We wanted to have every fan coming to the game with some idea of what they will find in the game, and we wanted them to actually find it. If they were thinking, oh, but there will be spice harvesting, of course. Will there be, I don't know, the fate of Paul as the Kvisazadrach? It's there. All that. So the messianic element and the war part and the cool gadgets like ornithopters and carrioles and all that. And of course, it was great to have the support of the company and production and the art department that made everything as cool as possible, from the figures to the board.
And by the way, can we bring in a box here?
Yes, of course. Let's take a look.
Yes.
So that should give us the first clue about the gameplay itself, right? Because the box is reversible.
Yeah. And it showed very clearly, like it is this clash of two factions. We have the Atreides with the allies, the Fremen, against the Harkonnen with the backing of the Imperial Corino house. So that is, you can clearly see there the dichotomy of the whole game.
Yeah. It's very much the nature of the game to be. It's completely asymmetric. So it's the idea of two things that are as different as the art there. Different colors to highlight the different mood of the game. It's going to be curious to see how players will shelf the game on one side or the other based on their favorite faction. If you're going to be like a strategic kind of player, all about the conquest part of the game, you're probably putting it like it is on the right side, so with the Harkonnen on top. If you're more about realizing the fate of the planet and the fate of Paul Muad'Dib as the Messiah of Dune, then it's going to be the other side. So, and it was really cool because both art pieces were not done for a box like that. That was a fantastic intuition by the design team, by the graphic design team, to do that, to exploit this element that the same logo Dune can be done graphically in a way that can be read in different ways. So it was really cool to see it.
And let's dive into a little bit of the art direction. I need to first of all give credit to Paolo Parente, who is the art director for this game and also an artist for many of the characters. So he managed all the art team to bring this universe to life in our own way. The cover, one of the main artists in the game, done by Steve Prescott, who did an amazing job. Other artists that helped the game, Stefano Moroni, also contributed a lot with some amazing characters and scenes you're going to see. Henning Ludvigsen did a board that you can kind of see hanging behind in the office there, kind of planning for war. But one very important aspect of the whole art direction and all that, we got the license to do a Dune game, and the thing is, we basically had our pick of, okay, how do you want to approach this game? Because we could do Dune based on the Denis Villeneuve film, which is amazing, looks beautiful and gorgeous, and I love it. But we kind of chose to not really go in that direction exactly, because we wanted to do Dune. We wanted to do the novel, the board game, and tying ourselves so directly to the film would kind of hamstring us. It would limit us in some ways. We wanted to have as much freedom as possible, but the cool thing is we do have access to that universe and that design. So sometimes we steer quite close what the films bring. Like if it looks good, if it works for a game, then let's use it. As far as character design, machinery design, even casting in a way. But if we think it might be cooler to stay closer to the book, or do something that will work better on the tabletop, then we created our own things, and also not being slavish to the new film also allows us to introduce things that are not in the film, because the film, at least so far, only dealt with a part of the story. And because this is War for Arrakis, this is more focused on basically the second part, which hasn't even shown up in the film yet. So it was really nice to really bring our own version of Dune, picking and choosing from all the best that has been done in the past, and contributing to this mythology on our own way. And talking to the licensor, like everything gets approved by the Herbert estate, and it was so cool. Sometimes it would send something and they would go, you know what, the Herberts say that like this is the best representation they've ever seen of this particular thing, and then we go, wow, that is so good to hear, and we hope that the fans will also appreciate that. People have been asking, is this like, what kind of game is this? Is this like as sprawling and as big as like War of the Ring? No, I think it's bigger.
Yeah, people have so many questions. So maybe we can go there now. Like, is it a miniature game? Is it a card game? Is it an area control? Is it solo playable? I see so many questions. I can't even pick one here. Okay, so why don't you introduce us to the gameplay?
Yeah, I think we can start just by this like basic aspect of, yes, it is a miniatures game, or a game with miniatures. I think we can go to the next slide. We can, no, not the next slide. Okay, stay there. So yes, it is a game with miniatures in the style of War of the Ring. They are great minis. Like we tried to push it as far as we could. It's gonna have a lot of minis, like over 100 minis in the core box, representing the two factions, and they're very asymmetrical. So yeah, it is this huge dudes on a map board game.
Yeah, definitely. It's difficult to just simplify it very much. It's an intense game because there's so many things going on at the same time. But let's put it this way: it's a game that puts the two factions one against the other. So what we can simplify it and call the Harkonnen side versus the Atreides. We are showing what in the book is also called the Desert War. So it's after the Harkonnen take control again of Dune and basically destroy the presence of the Atreides on the planet, and chase out Paul and his mother Jessica to the desert, finding refuge among the Fremen. So we are in that moment where an allegiance between the Fremen and the Atreides house is being forged. And on the other side, we have the House Harkonnen with the secret support of House Corrino, that is the house of the Empire, of the Emperor. So the asymmetrical situation has this military control of the planet by the Harkonnen that control mainly the polar area that is shown on the map. That is where it's possible to survive on a planet so hostile as Arrakis. And where mainly the sandworms don't go, so where all the cities are. And then on the fringe of that, there's the desert where, unbeknownst to from the Harkonnens, actually a great population of Fremen rebels live, and that's what the rebellion is building up during the game. So there's this moment where you have the Harkonnen that want to squash the rebellion by the Fremen nomads, so to speak, for supremacy, basically. And on the other hand, the Fremen are trying to profit from the fact that their position, their locations are secret. The Harkonnen don't know about that, so they have to discover where they are, where are their most important locations for the Fremen faction, and at the same time, the Fremen try to sabotage the operations by the Harkonnen on the planet. So try to cut their spice harvesting operations, to attack, eventually getting to the point where they are possibly able to strike back and even win from a military point of view. So there will be, but the paths to victory are different, are
several,
very diversified in the game. It could be a military victory by the Fremen because they get so powerful they actually can confront the Harkonnen and defeat them. But otherwise, they can realize also Paul's destiny as a sort of a prophet and messiah, and win anyway because they get the support of the entire population of the planet, and they chase away the Harkonnen, and so on. So there are different things that we will explore in time to get exactly to the nitty-gritty of the game.
Can we move on to the next slide just to explore a little bit more of what
well, you guys want to see some minis, right? Is that it? Oh no, it's not that yet. Sorry, I got it.
Yeah, just delving a little bit, like so. This is some of the amazing art by Stefano Moroni. Just really exploring, the scenery and the people and the fauna as well of Arrakis. You have a little Muad'Dib there on the bottom, desert red, and these scenes. You can see the next one as well, which depicts, I think, the Fremen taking on the Harkonnen. You can go to the next one.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. I was reading the comments.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is part of we're not going to go into it, but a whole mechanic of the prescience of Atreides and the development of the story. Each step of the journey that you're trying to accomplish if you're playing as the Atreides/Fremen faction. And this developing this just in terms of artwork and in the game, it was really excited to see, and going back and forth with the licensor and fleshing out this whole world.
Yes, it's a really at the same time it's a fresh look, but it's very distinct, right? It's very recognizable.
Yeah, there's also a reason why these cards look in these images look like that, and it will be clear when, of course, we get more into the detail of how the game works. But in some ways, they are made to represent, like I don't know, like excerpts from the lives of saints, stuff like that.
Yeah, they have a very
iconic,
a very mythic quality to them, because the game kind of mixes this, like the very nitty and gritty, war on the trenches kind of aspect with the mythic aspect, or the legendary aspect of the life of Muad'Dib and all the forces that play in the story. It's a nice back and forth between those two forces in the whole game. Now, on to the next one, we can start to explore some of the things people have been asking to see. So here we have young Paul Atreides, and talk about the sculpting. So we have lots of very talented people working on the sculpts. Yannick Hennebo, Irek Zelensky, Aragorn Marx, his brother Kevin Marx, and Michael Fichtenmeyer, working on all. There's a lot of minis, so we need to have a lot of people working on them. And again, it was this whole process from the art to the mini to approvals with the licensor, and then engineering, with our Vincent Fontaine, making sure that these can be produced and will look good on the tabletop. So here we have our young Paul Atreides, and the next one kind of gives you a hint of how the game mixes like the unit thing with a story thing, because this is Paul Muad'Dib as he evolves into his more Fremen focused persona. If you could, anything you want to say about that, Francesco?
Yeah, that's one of the ways where it's really cool to see how the components of the game enforce the theme and allowed us to show the growth, for example, of Paul Atreides in the story. And yeah, of course, it's exactly like the art. The choice that we made not to go full on the graphics from the movies is exactly that. We want the art and the components to be like a sort of a spark for your imagination. We don't want you to see something, a miniature or a piece of art, and just think of a scene from the movie. We want you to feel more part of the world, and I think that art like this and figures like that, being different from the movie, will allow you exactly to do this, to create, playing the game, to create your own version of the story instead of thinking of playing
also,
through.
And also, this is the first time I see a 15-year-old Paul Muad'Dib, because this is something that even with Chalamet, like, okay, that's not a 15-year-old, and that is something that like when I was 15 years old, that fascinated me, the fact that it was a 15-year-old going through all that, learning all that, accomplishing all that, going through that journey. So yeah, we really wanted to make sure that no, this is a kid that's taking on an empire, and that's cool. That makes it much cooler.
True.
And we don't have to worry about acting ability and all that. So it's all good.
It's all good. Well, shall we take a look at the
other
faction? I was going to say bad guys, but let's stay neutral.
Well,
but it's good to be bad, sometimes.
They are nasty. Let's say that. And no one is nastier than the good old Baron, which we made sure to make as
impressive looking,
corpulent as possible, with his repulsors keeping him afloat.
Yes, really cool cape there.
Looking at the characters is making me think exactly of the different levels that the game is played on. The fact that you have a huge importance of the personalities that made the story, and also when you read the novel, even when you see the movie, you realize that it is all about the characters. Even more than in stories like The Lord of the Rings, the characters are exactly in front of you. Everything else happens behind them. So, for example, the war in the novel of Dune is not that detailed. You hear about events. You know about consequences. You don't see exactly every battle being fought. You know about what happens to every distinct character. And so the game is very much that in front of you. You play the game through the characters all the time. And all the characters have an influence on what you can do strategically, on the deployment of troops, on the different things they can do. They totally shape your strategy. And that was very much done exactly for that, to give you the same perspective you get from the novel.
And just I remember some of the talks when we were designing the Vladimir Harkonnen here, all the conversations to get what kind of face he would have, what kind of attitude. And I remember talking to the licensor, like discussing like actors and even like real life people who kind of represent that kind of larger than life, powerful, hungry, more than in the literal sense, though, like people who just devour everything that they see, that they use people, that use their power to just gain more and more, and to bring those characteristics to the character in the art and then the sculpt. It was very interesting to dive into the psyche of some of these characters for those things.
It's interesting because with Paul, he had a look that was not exactly, of course, but it was closer to the movie look. And here you went a very different direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, the Timothée Chalamet, especially in the Paul Atreides version, like really, it worked very, very well. So there's a lot of inspiration there. But then from the Baron, we wanted to go like really out there, like more than what the movie. Because the movie has this very elegant, slender, simplified thing, and for us, especially for miniatures, that is not the best way to go about it. You want to see detail. You want to see things that pop in this way, because it's a smaller scale. It needs to work in that way. So everything informs that from the beginning.
But also there was another, I think, at least judging from the graphics, I think there was another pole of attraction for the graphic design team, and that was the movie by David Lynch, that is like a polar opposite to the Denis Villeneuve movie. It's so gothic or so really rich in details and stuff. So I think that our approach in some ways is good, has something that goes in one direction and something that goes on the other, and still belongs to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to see the next one. Another example. Beast Raban, the Baron's nephew, and this also kind of plays into the passage of time. There's the time of Raban, and then his time wanes, just as there's the time of Paul Atreides, and his time he leaves the stage for Paul Muad'Dib. This is a very unique, I think, take on Beast Raban. He's been played in several different ways, and I love this very kind of animalistic, straightforward, but at the same time very flamboyant way that the Harkonnen have, with his Inkvine whip and the colors. Really, really, really happy with that.
And also it makes a lot of justice to the abilities that Beast Raban has in the game. Is a force to be reckoned with when you play with the Harkonnen side. So it has its own effect when you put that miniature on the board with your legions.
And people were asking about the scale of the game.
Oh yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, I'd like to address this. So because this is a sprawling war game, it's over 100 minis on a board. So we had to we tried to basically push the scale to be as big as it possibly could, so the minis would look good and would have good detail and be nice to paint and all that, while still making a game that works, because that is also very important. So the scale is a bit smaller than our normal Zombicide scale. It's more towards the scale we did for Bloodborne, which is slightly smaller, but it's not as small as World of the Ring. We really wanted to make miniatures that look really cool. No, it's coming or not. Or at least it used to be CMON now. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so it's slightly smaller than what we usually do, but still big enough to work well and show detail and all that. I'm hot. I don't know if it's the theme or
yeah, hydrate everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drinking a lot. I'm not being very conservative with my water discipline.
No. The best place to store water is in your body. Come on, learn the lessons.
I see a few questions here. I think we won't go into too many details about gameplay today, but I think we can address some of the most major aspects. So how many players is this for?
So it is at this point, let's say it is a two-faction game, but there is more to it than that, because it's not just Atreides versus Harkonnen. You do have a whole allegiance of people with the Fremen, with the Corrino and all that. So we'll get to that more in the future.
Yeah, and Francesco left. Francesco doesn't want to answer questions. Oh no, he's back. It's okay, he's here.
Sorry, I don't know what happened, but the connection failed. The question was too hard. What did you say, Tiago?
I give a very good answer. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
I think we've covered this in more general terms, but would you say this is an area control? Would you classify?
If you want, I can spend a couple of words more about the mechanics. So if you are familiar with War of the Ring, there's one thing that is absolutely there, and that's the mechanic that we call the action dice. So both factions in the game have their available actions dictated by the roll of a number of dice. These dice have different icons on them, and they indicate types of action. So not a specific action, but a type of action that can be a strategy action or a deployment action or even a mentat action that, if you know what it is. The number of dice available to each faction represents exactly the power of that faction. So the more dice you have, the more of course actions you will have during your turn. So in the game, in the beginning, there's this great difference between the number of dice that the Harkonnen have compared to the Atreides. So what you do in every turn of the game is to roll these dice and then to choose between the options given by the different results. Just to give a nod to the system that War of the Ring uses. In this case, in the case of Dune, the characters affect greatly the actions that you can do in the game, because all the characters are tied to a type of action. And so if you have a character available to do something, you can use that character to make your type of action more powerful. And so it depends on who you have available in front of you, or if it's been used already during a turn, and so on. Again, this is done to put the characters front and center. Then another, of course, the obvious characteristic of the game, that it is a war game. So there's an intense combat system that has you putting regular units against Sardaukar or the Fedaykin, trained by Paul Muad'Dim himself to become the Death Commandos, and so you have a combat system that allows to see a difference between a legion that is composed only by newly trained troops or by elite units like the Sardaukar. And especially if they are led by someone like Bistraban, or they're just being led by Paul Atreides in the beginning, who's a green leader and is less prone to give you a victory on the field of battle than when he becomes eventually Paul Muad'Dib and the leader of his Fedaykin. So it's a game where combat has a big component.
But just to interject, you said that Paul was a green leader, and it just reminded me of a question someone asked in the chat, which is whether both factions would be the same color, which is what we're showing here. No, of course, this is just to showcase the scopes. The factions will be different colors, the Harkonnen in red, the Atreides in green. So yeah, Paul will be literally a green leader.
The green leader. I see another question that I think is fun. Can we see the game board? Yes, you can. You can see it right now.
Kind of there behind.
You can kind of see. You can kind of see the game board.
For the moment, we're just teasing you. I mean, we have a lot of moments where we will eventually leak all the
there will be articles, there will be
Yes.
live streams that we have some time to really explore each aspect of the game. Rest assured, the game board, we were very careful with it. Henning did an amazing job with it, showing it's directly based on the maps that Frank Herbert did, really being accurate to what was shown and adapting it to the game with all the key locations and cities and all that.
Yeah, that's another example. Sorry, Elena. That's another example of how the story dictated the game. So since the book has a map in it, we couldn't do a map that was different from that. So we had to make it as close as possible to how the planet is presented in the story.
Well, there is one major aspect of Dune that is very iconic and that we haven't seen yet. So maybe it's time to get to that. We're likely in the last few minutes.
Before that, I just saw an amazing comment there on the table gaming for you, Francesco. I don't know if you saw that one, the last one.
Okay.
That's for you to be very, very happy about yourself.
Good, Alec. I wish.
Do you have a Bali set with you? Do you have a Bali set to play as a tune?
No. I have a sword, though.
Yeah, although our Gurney Halleck does have a Bali set because he has to. He's the bard warrior. I think we can move on to another piece of artwork that people would like to see.
I'm surprised that this hasn't been spammed in the chat for the whole.
I have seen it popping up from time to time.
Oh yeah, I haven't.
What is it? Oh yeah.
Yes, it's the sandworms. Perhaps the most iconic thing in Dune, I think.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see like the different interpretations of sandworms. There's so many ways you can go, so many different takes on it. And this is just one of the artworks that we have showcasing not the biggest of sandworms, but still an impressive one nonetheless. I think we can also go ahead and see how that translates into plastic.
Here you go.
Bless the maker and his water, bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world, may he keep the world for his people.
That's going to make a good impression on the board because the size compared to the board itself is really impressive. So whenever you see one of those things coming up,
and I love that there is the whole mechanic of a warm sign, and then that can move around, and then it can pop out as a full sandworm attacking you, and there is more to the sandworms than just a monster that pops up from time to time. It is Shai Hulud. It is the old man of the desert. It's a very important thing. It's like I have great reverence for the sandworm. Even when we were doing the trailer for this reveal, I was very specific about how it shows up. It can't be like he's not a monster. He's a god. It's different. Like, this is like how it moves, what sound it makes, like his presence. This matters.
And also from the gameplay point of view, it's very much pivotal. It's very much something that is so important to the economy of the strategy of the Atreides player and the Fremen allies. Because as you said, it's not simply something that threatens your spice harvesting capability if you are the Harkonnen. It's also a way for the Fremen to move in the desert with sand riders, and also a major military asset, because if you can get them to participate directly in combat, you will see that why Arrakis is considered a very deadly environment.
And people are asking about a scale comparison. We don't have a scale comparison, also because I'm not even sure about the scale yet. Because like everything, I want them to be as big as we possibly can make them within the scale of the game, within the limitations of the board. So we're constantly adjusting and trying. Can we push a little bit? If we change the pose, can it still like overhang a little bit more? And this is not even the biggest one. So we.
That's a pup.
But let's say that the size comparison is. I don't want to belittle this by saying reasonable, but the playability is very much a focus here. So it's not that we're putting some huge hunk of plastic in the middle of the board and then you cannot play the game. So it's impressive yet serviceable. So.
In the end, it needs to serve the game. We don't want to compromise the whole game just to have a beautiful piece of plastic on there, of course. But still, I will make sure it is as impressive as we can possibly make it, because first of all, it's such an amazing sculpt, and I personally want it to be as cool as possible. So don't worry about that.
It's really super cool.
Yes. Well, I think that leaves us with the $1 million question. When is this going to be on Kickstarter?
So we say this is our next Kickstarter, and it should be going live in a couple of months. We're not ready to divulge a date yet, but that's the general gist of it. Keep tuned to our Facebook page, our newsletter, when we will announce it. But yeah, a couple months from now, the sleeper will awaken.
Will awaken. Well, I think that's the time we had for today. We are nearing 15. Oh, no. Oh my God, the worm just appeared. Okay, no, I was trying to remove the comment.
Worm sign!
Well, do we have any final message for our potential future backers? Let's start with Aranha.
I don't know. I try to convey as much as possible my excitement for this property. I think if you're a Dune fan, this will be everything you want it to be. If you are a board game fan, we're making a good game for you. So you don't need to know Dune to play the game. We will make it accessible for everybody. We're just taking the most from this property that we can to bring this to life. About the Kickstarter. So this is a kind of a different game for our usual fare. It is a very focused game. Like it's more in the spirit, in the general kind of game that like something like Rising Sun or Ankh, or all those games. In terms of it's a very kind of streamlined, focused experience. That's the game. There's the factions at play. Of course, there is room for some extra things, but not a lot, both from a gameplay perspective and from a lore perspective in terms of what we are focusing this game on. So it will be a relatively smaller campaign. Still lots of things, lots of cool things planned, but we're trying to keep the focus on what's best for the game, for the to bring this book to life. So yeah, just trying to prepare yourselves for what is to come, and working hard to make this as good as it possibly can be. And we hope you will show up and take a look, and if it interests you, back the game.
What about you, Francesco?
Or just to say that even if yes, as Thiago said, it's going to be more focused, possibly, as other sprawling Kickstarters by the company. This doesn't mean that we're giving a lot of cool toys. There's going to be so much in there to really enjoy. Also from the tactile point of view, it's really something that I can't wait to see fully produced on the table. If possible, I would like to thank my team.
Sure, of course.
My co-designer Marco Maggi, that worked with me also in every game I made in my life, and Michele Garbugio, our developer, and also Roberto Di Meglio, that as a designer for War of the Ring was spiritually inspiring the game as it is, and we look forward to beat him at this game. Usually he beats us in strategy games. He's more strategically minded, but this time he won't. And so, yeah, that's it. We really can. I'm sure that also Aranya can't wait to go more into details about what we have.
Yeah, there's lots we could say, but let's pace ourselves.
Yeah.
We
We don't want this
journey.
to be too information heavy as well. Like drop a lot of information in a few minutes. Sorry, go ahead, Aranya. I interrupted.
Yeah. I just hope we managed to convey like the general idea of what this game is and our approach to it, how it looks, what we're bringing to the table. But yeah, there will be we will go in depth on the specific mechanics. We're going to show a lot more miniatures and artworks and components and all of that in the months to come, leading up to the Kickstarter. And I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will allow it to pass over me and through me. And when the fear has gone past, I will turn it in eye to see its path. When the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
I was telling Elena to cut your audio.
I couldn't possibly. Who knows what could happen?
Well,
I'm sorry.
We can
Cut the feed. We're done here.
We can close it in any better way.
True. So with that, I think we'll leave you for today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you both for joining me. I hope we'll see you all very soon as we dive deeper into the desert, I guess. Dive might not be the best word, though.
Oh, you dive in the sands, sure.
Yes.
Like a sandworm. Yeah, you dive in the sand like a sandworm.
Yeah, you saved my metaphor. Thank you so much. So I guess I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much and bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.